I have done a lot of work in my life. My most early memory of working was, well, my official job was actually picking up garbage at the Enumclaw fair. But before then, I had a very good work ethic. Well, mostly I just wanted the money so that I could go and buy my girlfriend nice things. And, I was a womanizer. So where I worked was Rock Ridge Orchard and Bamboo Groves. Yes, I worked at an Asian pear orchard and bamboo groves. And it was one of the craziest, wildest jobs you could ever have as a kid. I really learned a lot about Asian pears and how to prune them, how to pick them, how to maintain them, everything about Asian pears, and also bamboo. Now, I worked there with my very good friend, Stephen Howard, and wow, we just had such wild experiences there. All through the summer, all through the winter, everything from picking pears and dealing with hornets who are trying to chew into these sugary, sweet Asian pears. And, imagine picking a pear and then turning it over and the other side is half eaten with just a giant horde of hornets that immediately envelop your face. But I really didn't get stung a lot. I really only got stung maybe 2 or 3 times because we got used to running very, very, very fast. Hornet horde! Bam! Gone. The fellow who owns Rock Ridge Orchard and Bamboo Groves, very, very nice guy. His name is Wade, as in wading out into the water. And he right now, I believe he's pretty famous for his liquor. That is his hard cider that he creates out of the Asian pear stuff. But back then, he wasn't that fancy. No. It was just bamboo and Asian pears. At one point, he even volunteered to participate in an experiment with Washington State University. And they were experimenting with pollinating flies. That is, flies, the bug that flies around and pollinates plants, like a bee would, only they're flies. So one day I showed up to work, and Wade was there, and he said, "Hey, Bo, here is a bucket full of fly larvae. Here's a scoop. Put 1 scoop into 1 brown paper bag, fold it twice, staple it, and that's it." I was like, "Hey, no big deal." And then he was like, "Oh yeah, they kind of smell like fish guts." Like rancid fish guts, because evidently that's what they fed the larvae, these specially bred flies that evidently pollinated. I found out years later that the neighbors were extremely angry at him for releasing hundreds upon thousands of flies all over his giant orchard, which I would be kind of grossed out too if all of a sudden it was just like the summer of flies. Oh man, it was so disgusting. So I put this larva into these brown paper bags, stapled them up according to his directions. I was a good little worker. And I put them in the greenhouse so that they could get nice and warm and then hatch. Well, in a few days, our larva hatched. And you'd walk in there and kind of making your way between the dozens of rows of brown paper bags. And if you bumped a bag, then you could hear that zzz as all the flies inside the bag just went crazy. Disgusting. So disgusting. But wait, it gets worse. We had to open up the bags and dump them out in the orchard, out on the trees. Yeah, at that point you wished you were dealing with hornets, because you'd open up these bags and try to dump them out, and just this cloud of flies would come out, and they still smelled awful. Probably not the most sanitary of jobs, because they'd get in your nose, in your ears, in your mouth, so you're going as you're dumping out these flies. Oh, so gross. he never again volunteered to experiment with a Washington State University fly pollination gig. I hope he got paid handsomely for that. We certainly didn't get paid handsomely, but I certainly learned good work ethic when I was working there. Another time that has something to do more with the bamboo side of things and less of the Asian pears. I distinctly remember it was the dead of winter and it was so cold, but we had to cut these shoots into small little sections and force them into black buckets and then put dirt on them. And then we drag these huge black buckets into the greenhouse. Well, what we were dumping in wasn't just dirt, it was manure. So there was lots of methane gas coming up from this fertilizer. Very, very rich fertilizer. But it was nice because since it was the dead of winter, you got to kind of keep your hands nice and warm, even to the point of taking off your gloves. It was really probably the coziest moments I've ever had working at Rock Ridge Orchard and bamboo groves. The methane gas probably wasn't the best for my brain cells because a few instances I got pretty lightheaded and found myself stumbling around, not doing anything in particular, just kind of stumbling around. And I'd be like, "Hey, Steven, does it feel like you inhaled like a tremendous amount of helium?" "Yeah, Bo, I don't feel so hot." And then we'd start laughing at jokes that weren't really supposed to be jokes. Oh, wow. Cool place though. There were ducks that walked around. There was Wade had a cool dog that he had trained, basically, inadvertently trained, to bark every time he drove by McDonald's because he'd always buy Smokey, the dog, a burger. And cool dog. Really, really cool dog. But it was really cool working on a farm because you got to work around heavy machinery and stuff that Wade would create, like a helium tank that he cut in half and then he hung it by a rope. So it was this gong, basically. So people would come up instead of a little bell, ding, ding, ding. Hello, I need some help. Instead it was a gong with a giant piece of bamboo that you'd slam against this thing, which was very helpful when you were all the way out in the orchards and some people showed up and they wanted Asian pears, which, by the way, weird people buy Asian pears and bamboo. If you are a bamboo fanatic, that means you're crazy. I'm sorry for profiling you, but you're eccentric and crazy. There wasn't one normal person who was really into bamboo, and they were normal. It's just unheard of. It actually became a running joke. Like, hey, you know a lot about bamboo. Are you working with a full deck of cards here? Of course, we wouldn't say that. They're very nice people, just weird. For example, one guy would show up and he wanted some Asian pears. He didn't speak English very well, and that's okay. But he said, I would like a big pear, a big pear. I want a big pear. You have big pear. And the whole time he's holding his hands up like a pear, and then a grapefruit, and then a watermelon, and then a giant pumpkin, like bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was just like, wow, I don't know what this guy's standards are for pears, but he's gonna be really disappointed with our pears. Big pear. Wow. Another fantastic fellow was Stan the Bamboo Man, the man who swore that bamboo would save the world. And that is my next story.